What? When? Where? Who? What? When? Where?
And why do I delighted?
What?
Do I intend to find this time?
Run around!
Jump down, bounce and bound and
Find another way to duck and hide.
this Isle of Dreams.
Who, what, when, where, and why. Most of us are very familiar with the 5 W's. Detectives use these to figure out a case and get to the bottom of something. I truly believe some of us lean more towards one of these W's than the others. Some of us like to know the who did it, and who was it. Some of us like to know the what. We're all about the content and figuring out what was there and what took place. And some of us like to know the when. The when will I need to be there, and when did this take place? And it's all about timing and schedule. Some of us like to know the where. Where was this, and where can I go to get this? And it's all about location and atmosphere and scenery. And some of us like to know the why, of why did this happen, and what was the reason, and why did that person do that, and why did I react that way? Well, you see, I am definitely a why person. I always have been. Ever since I was a young age, I remember, and my parents tell the story, that my favorite word was why. And I loved to ask every question. And I would ask, Mom, why is this so hot? And why does the light bulb shine so bright? And why do I need to eat my food? And why do I need to go to school? And why? That was my favorite question, my favorite word. And you know what? I don't think I've changed much from then. It's still my favorite thing to do. But I made it a habit to ask myself why in certain situations the right way. So let me give you an example. One time, I was taking a course with my friend, and we would always sit together. She liked to sit in the back, and I liked to sit in the front. But because she would always sit alone, I would always sit with her. So I started to sit in the back with her because that's what she liked. And sometimes I would usually get there first. So I would save her the seat, and I would sit in the back and wait for her to sit. And she would always sit with me, and we'd take notes and blah, blah. So one day, she comes in, and she's talking to another friend that she has, and she's just talking to her, and class quickly begins. And she ends up sitting with her and does not even acknowledge me. And I'm stuck sitting in the back where I don't really like to sit, with an empty seat next to me that was for her. In this moment, I immediately started to cry, and tears started rolling down my face. And I was so hurt. I was so offended by this simple act that had just taken place. I was so shocked at myself. Like, why am I reacting this way? Why does this bother me? I don't understand. But I started to have flashbacks of all the times that I had been rejected, all of the times that I had felt insecure, all the times that someone had ignored me and said no, all the times that I had felt inferior. And this caused even more hurt in me, and it caused me to want to cry even harder. It was so crazy because what had really happened was not big of a deal. But it wasn't so much what happened, it was the way that I perceived what happened. You see, I believe a lot of us are living life through a blinds of our insecurities. You know, we're seeing insecurities. We are seeing things that have happened to us, our past. We are seeing offenses that have taken place. We are seeing untrustworthy things. And this is what we're seeing life through. We're seeing it through insecurities, through what's happened in the past. And this is no way of seeing, because you're seeing what's not really there. And so I've seen that so many people, and in my life as well, take something so simple that happened and overreact to what happened and make a big deal. And everyone is confused, like, why is that person so mad? We don't understand, because we have not lived what they have lived, and we don't know what they're holding on to. So I'm sure that as all, we have things to figure out and fix in ourselves. And so I'm sure that as I'm telling you this story, you have probably thought of a time that you felt that you were done wrong or offended, and you knew that your reaction was maybe a little too much. And maybe it happened in the past and you can reflect and say, yeah, I totally overreacted. Maybe you can't really see that yet, So I want to get you there. I want you to see the whole situation and see it from a different perspectives. Put yourself in that person's shoes. Because in this story, my friend didn't do anything wrong. She just sat over there because class was about to start and she didn't feel like moving to the other side of the room. And I took that as you rejected me. And how rude of you not to sit with me knowing that I have gone my way to sit where you like to sit. So I didn't feel appreciated and I felt rejected. So this is where I start asking myself, why? Why do I feel like this? Why did that bother me so much? Why did I have to cry? So I start asking, what was it that made me feel this way? Well, this act, okay, we've established that. So now, what did I feel? Well, I felt unappreciated. Okay, well, why did you feel unappreciated? Well, I felt unappreciated because I sit here all the time for her, and then the way she repays me is by sitting somewhere else. So what really I'm saying is I feel rejected. Okay, so I feel rejected. Why do I feel rejected? Well, because when I was younger, I would try to get the attention of my father, and I would talk to my dad, and he would reject me by not listening and not listening to anything I said or not talking to me at all. So I felt that rejection. So really what the seed of the root of this is my rejection. So you see how I broke that situation down and I tried to get to the bottom of what was really going on. And what really happened was that sparked something in me, a rejection that I have been holding on to for my whole life. So it was a button that was pushed. And that's what caused me to react that way. And I'm sure this has happened to you several times. You maybe just haven't realized it. So, now that I've come to the conclusion that, okay, I felt rejected because I was maybe traumatized by some of the things in my childhood that made me feel rejected. And now I see my life through rejection. So anytime someone ignores me, what do I feel? Rejection. And I'm offended. Anytime someone does not pay close attention to me as I would to them, I feel rejected. And you see how I'm taking my insecurities on my friends, on the people around me, which I shouldn't, because it's not their fault. It's not their fault that I felt rejected because my father rejected me when I was a young age. That's not their fault. So I shouldn't push my insecurities on other people. So I want to encourage you to start looking at the things that are deep inside of your heart that you probably have not even tried to discover. And I want you to start asking yourself, why? And I do this every day, all the time. Whenever I'm in my car, sitting with someone and they're talking to me and they're telling me something, and maybe something they said I didn't really like, and I maybe make a face and I'm just to myself, and so then at that moment I catch myself doing that and I say, whoa, why am I reacting this way? And so I start thinking about what they said. Well, they said something that they don't like dogs, and well, that does not sit well with me because I love dogs and dogs are so cute. And I used to have dogs when I was a young age, and I had tons of dogs, and most of my dogs died. So it hurts when someone says something bad about my dogs because my dogs died and I wish I would have had enough time with them. And this person has no clue that. But the way I reacted to that was, I'm annoyed because you shouldn't have said that. You see, it's those little things that I start to ask myself, why? Whoa, why am I acting this way? Why did that bother me? Why did that offend me? Because this way I get to the root of things. And you will see that the root of things will bring you back to circumstances and memories of stuff that you have held on to. So I encourage you to start thinking about those things and start looking deep inside of you and see those things that you have held on to for a long time and that you probably have not seen or want to deal with, because it's hard. It takes manual labor and it's a process to go through. But just by something so simple of asking yourself, why? Why did that bother me? Why did I react that way? And why does that mean so much to me? Or why is that so important to me? You will start discovering and finding things out about yourself that you didn't know. And then you can better explain and you can fix the things that you were holding on to that you didn't even know were there. It's pretty interesting when you get to the bottom of things and you see, wow, I've been holding on to this my whole life. Something so simple as a gesture of ignoring me made me feel this way. I remember when I was younger and I hated to be interrupted. Hated being interrupted. Because I naturally am a very good listener. I much rather listen than talk. So whenever someone in my family would interrupt me while I was talking, I got so mad. And my dad did this a lot because my dad loves to talk and he hates to listen. So whenever I was sharing something, because I had to muster up the courage to say something, and then my dad would interrupt me, I would immediately shut down. Immediately. And then I would have an attitude. And so they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying? And then I'd be like, no, it's okay, I don't want to say anything. And I just have such an attitude because I'm like, in my mind, if you wanted to listen to me, then you would have been listening. Because I would never do that to you. So I don't expect you to do that to me. This was my mindset. So things like this, I had to work through. And I had to figure out, okay, why do I feel this way? Because I hate being ignored. Why do I hate being ignored? Because I love to listen and I would never interrupt someone. So I hate when people interrupt me. It's not acceptable for me. It's a standard that I have for myself. But what do I need to realize? I need to realize that not everyone is like me. And some people do like to talk more than listen. And it's okay if people interrupt me because some people have so much going on in their mind that they can't catch it all at once. And there will be times where they will be distracted. And those are the moments that I have to remind myself, okay, I need to let this go. So it's a process. It's a process that you must go through. And I had to work things inside of me that I didn't know I was still holding on to. And I had to work through these things. So I challenge you to start asking yourself, why? It's so simple, but you might find out so much about yourself by asking yourself why. Now, it does not just stop there. You need to make a plan. You need to make a change and an action. Once you figure it out and you've gotten to the root of things, you need to start saying, okay, well, I'm going to start practicing and making a habit to not let this offend me any longer. So what I started doing was I would control my temper anytime anyone interrupted me. And I would breathe out and I would remind myself, okay, it's okay that someone interrupted you. They still want to hear what you have to say. I would have to talk to myself this way because it was such a big insecurity. And so I would have to remind myself, your voice is valuable and they do want to hear you. Finish your story if they ask. So then they'd be like, I'm sorry, what were you saying? And so instead of me going, never mind, you don't want to listen to me, never mind, I would say, oh yeah, well, what I was saying was, and then I would continue my statement. Now, it was hard at first because I didn't want to naturally do that, but I had to get myself out of that comfort level of just giving an attitude, and I had to let that go. So, come up with a plan that works for you, and a habit that you need to get rid of, and you need to realize, okay, this is something pretty big that I need to deal with. And it's gonna be hard, but it's so worth it. Herbert Otto said, change and growth take place when a person has risked himself and dares to become involved with experimenting with his own life. So change and growth will only take place when you start to experiment with your life. When you start to ask yourself, why? Why do I do this? And why does that bother me? And why does this matter so much to me? And you will discover so much about yourself. And once you have discovered that foundation, you will be able to make the changes and you will know how you operate and know how to get rid of those strongholds that have been in your heart that you have not let go of. And you will be able to change your attitude and your outlook of life. And no longer will you be looking through life with your insecurities, but those will quickly fade out and you will be able to see everything and you will be able to not be quickly offended and be quickly victimized with every situation. Thank you for listening, and I hope this really helped.